Hello and good evening, good chaps. 'Tis I, SirCrazyPretzel, coming to you live here on August 17th of 2022. It is about 9:23 in the evening, and what am I doing, you say? Well, before we divulge into our business as usual, let me have a spot of tea here. I have the something that apparently Bobby Hill would drink out of, as my mug is in the wash at the moment. It is a good old-fashioned American Southern Mason jar, or something that I guess the wanker American colonists would drink out of. I guess I will submit to that if I want to have a spot of tea here. I am drinking Bigelow Greenberry tea from Maya. Wait a second, it is not Bigelow tea. It's just Maya green tea, but it's a berry flavored, but it's still absolutely delicious. The only thing that makes me quite angry sometimes, though, is sometimes I go to Maya to purchase it, and it is not in stock. I mean, it's absolute bollocks. You know, a local grocery that is supposed to be for the good, kind-hearted noblemen like myself. You know, the person in charge of the inventory simply cannot keep track of what they have and don't have, and can't keep stuff in supply, and it is just absolute bollocks. And I don't want to hear any excuses about inflation and supply chains and whatnot, because I guarantee you the same way they make the green tea from the berries and whatnot is similar to what how they make it with the lemon green tea that Bigelow does and the other things. So the fact that they cannot keep that in stock like they can keep the other one in stock is just utter hypocrisy. But anyway, enough about that rant. We are here to review NWA Powerrr Season 9. Why does pro wrestling now have seasons? It never had seasons when I was a young lad, but I decided to give modern pro wrestling a chance to redeem itself, to still be of worthiness to enjoy, and once again, pro wrestling in 2022 of modern day is indeed absolute bollocks. A waste of time. The feel I get from this show is just the feel that one would feel when they screw the Badger, as I felt about this show. The show definitely screws the Badger. So, let's get into this show. Let's get this over with. Oh, by the way, instead of watching NWA Powerrr, if you are a man like myself, and once in a while go to a local store that sells used DVDs and whatnot, if you can find this show, the complete first season of The Mind of the Married Man, it is an absolute great show. It is a comedy and a bit of drama, and it's like a male version of Sex and the City, except it is quite comical, funny, edgy. It's from the early 2000s, back when life was good, before SJW TikTok liberal fucktards fucked everything up and made everything wussy and whatnot. But back in those days when life was edgy and good, it was indeed a good time. So you should watch that show instead of NWA Powerrr. But anyway, watch the review. Sure, we have to watch the review. So we open the show with Mike Bennett and Matt Taven, which already makes you want to turn your television off, turn the telly off, but regardless. So their tag team name is called OGK, and the announcers never explain what OGK stands for, so I'm going to assume it stands for Orange Gangsta Knickers, because what else could it stand for? The commentators don't tell me. So, by the way, if I actually post this and you're a wrestling fan, I am viewing this as a casual, because I don't watch NWA routinely. I'm a casual fan watching it. This is the opinion of the mind of a casual fan who has watched pro wrestling for several years, since I was a young lad of 12 years old, up to currently now, when I'm in my 30s. So, yes, if I'm a bit harsh on this show, it's not aimed at you personally. It's because pro wrestling is bollocks in the 2020s. But regardless. So, Mike Bennett and Matt Taven are at the beginning of the show. Mike Bennett is wearing a Boston Strong Style t-shirt. Like, what is that supposed to mean? I don't really know how Mike Bennett could be a strong person and whatnot, because this guy is just an utter SJW cuck of his wife Maria Kanellis, and she is the husband and woman of the relationship, and he's simply there to just do his part while she runs everything and whatnot. As evidenced by when they returned to WWE a few years back and basically milked McMahon and Triple H at the time for, good steady money and whatnot, but I don't know. I'm not the fan of Mike Bennett, and I never was. So they're cutting a boring promo. They're saying that they want to be the Ring of Honor, New Japan, and NWA Tag Team Champions, the first ever to do so. Such low standards, if you ask a good chap like myself, because Ring of Honor, defunct. Tony Khan owns it, but hasn't done anything with it. They've had like one pay-per-view. They have no TV show going on whatsoever. Not that it would generate any revenue, but regardless, so that's where Ring of Honor is. New Japan, which I watched a recent episode of GWRP on YouTube. They did the ratings rundown, and New Japan had less than 30,000 viewers for a show. Yeah. So it would be like winning the tag team championships of a graveyard, because there would be nobody there to, decree that and challenge you for the belts, because everybody there is dead. And then you have the NWA Tag Team Championships, which were probably once noble belts that meant something, but since NWA has probably declined in popularity since its original re-debut and whatnot, as I can say, because if you want to count seasons of pro wrestling, which is utter bollocks, but I enjoyed the first season of NWA, then the pandemic hit, and then the show was bollocks after that. So, anyway, back to the promo. So, they put over how they want to win the tag team championships. They're interrupted by this random tag team that I don't know called La Rebellion. It's two Hispanic people, and they looked all right. They had face paint on, tattoos and stuff. They looked a little something. One of them spoke in Spanish and insulted the other guys and said something about this is their house, to translate some of the Spanish. It was all in Spanish. And then another guy said something about they've been running the tag team division for like 270 days. And he said something about while Mike Bennett was at home raising his kids, being Maria's little bitch boy that he is. And the other guy was at home getting fat or something, I guess. I don't know. So after that, he insults them. We get a little brawl here, and this was okay at first, but it was very short-lived. Some fat guy dressed up like La Rebellion comes out and sprays red mist in both the eyes of the two gentlemen, the orange gangster knickers, and that's pretty much it. They're on the ground going, I'm blind, and that's it. So he blinds them, and then they don't finish the job. What's stupid, utter hypocrisy. I mean, imagine there's a burglar outside my house, inside my flat, and he's gonna come rob me. I'm sitting here drinking my tea, and for some reason I accidentally hit myself in the eye with a straw somehow. And then the burglar shows up and then just sees me in pain and kind of hunched over and whatnot. And instead of shooting me and robbing my house or taking me out, he just ups and leaves. I mean, what utter bollocks this segment was. So, how do I grade this show? Just to let you know, I give this show a possible 1 point per match/segment. I gave this a half a point because I think I was generous. La Rebellion looked like something. It was at least something, so I gave that a point. Alright. So the first match we have on the show, oh, and by the way, before I go into that, so the show had about 20 fans inside the arena. Yeah, there was about 20 whole fans in the arena. I get this is a taped TV studio type thing or something like that, but, the old shows, of NWA, they had like at least probably 100 people there. So they had like 20 people in this building. That's productivity right there, Mr. Billy Corgan. Very, very, very proud of you. So the first match of the show, and I couldn't believe my eyes that I saw this chap in the show. It was Rodney Mack. Remember Rodney Mack from WWE? He was that guy that was managed by Theodore Long, Teddy Long. Back when him and Mark Henry were doing that racist angle, back in like 2003. Yeah, that Rodney Mack. He's 52 years old. And he was with, and Aaron Stevens was managing him apparently, because Aaron Stevens, I guess, has recently retired. Aaron Stevens used to be, what's his name in WWE? Damian Sandow. So, it's Rodney Mack against some masked guy named Masked Scion with Austin Idol. Austin Idol I'm not familiar with. I know he's like an old school manager. The guy's like probably like 80 years old now or something, managing people in this company and whatnot. And this match was, I don't remember a single thing about this match because it was hard to pay attention. The whole entire match was punches and a couple of like hip tosses and snapmares and a couple cheap submissions and a terrible finish. For some reason, Rodney Mack is embraced a Junkyard Dog character / Rampage Quinton Jackson character. He has chains around him like Hercules from back in the day, which I guess is supposed to be a dog leash, and he occasionally barks at the out loud or something. He's like, "Oh, Brig Botter, that was improper. A man of my stature should not be doing that, barking like a dog." Not like this bollocks guy. But, so, that's apparently his gimmick. He does that. You know, the only person that did a dog gimmick proper in pro wrestling was Rick Steiner. So, that's his gimmick. So, the finish of this matchup, it was a bit back and forth. This match was less than like 5 minutes. Was a terrible finish with Scion basically countering a sunset flip attempt by Rodney Mack with him just sitting down, and then he was holding Rodney Mack's knee pad as the ref counted the 1, 2, 3, and the announcers were putting over how that they've never seen someone holding a knee pad to offset the opponent's shoulders and whatnot. It was a very, very terrible, terrible finish. Rubbish, very rubbish, and whatnot. And for some reason, the commentators, and I still can't remember the main guy's name, but the other commentators were Tim Storm and Velvet Sky. Again, I'm a fan of Velvet Sky when she was in TNA. You know, Tim Storm, I like the guy. I've got nothing against him. But this trio, bollocks commentators, just absolute bollocks. They cannot, like, nobody is a bad guy commentator putting over the bad guy. They just all talk about the same thing over and over and over again. Like, none of them stand out. Like, except for the occasional play-by-play from the main guy, nobody stands out. And that's what I got out of this. Apparently this was a #1 contenders match for someone to wrestle against Jax Dane, whoever the fuck that is, and whatever the fuck title he holds. So that was this match. They were more interested in why Aaron Stevens was with Rodney Mack than they were this match and stuff, the commentators were. So I give this a 1 out of 5 for some reason. Probably because Velvet Sky was there. But anyway. Alright. Next thing on the show was a backstage promo with Mae Valentine. She's cute. I like Mae Valentine. She was interviewing Camille and Tom Latimer. I like Camille and Tom Latimer. They've been around since the beginning of the show. But they apparently are baby faces and are boring as fuck now. So, because she asks Camille like how she's feeling or whatnot, and Camille talks about how she has to defend the title at the NWA 74 show. It's their 74th anniversary, and after she beats whoever the opponent is for that, I don't know if she said the opponent or if they just don't have an opponent announced. I can't remember. Sorry. And then she said that there is some women's battle royal, and then she has to fight the winner the night after whoever wins that match or something. And then Tom Latimer says something that wasn't important, and that was this promo. I give this a half a point because of May Valentine. She's good on the eyes. She wears a bit too much makeup, but if you kind of look past that, she's kind of attractive in a way. I don't know. She's not, I don't know. I think she's attractive. Next, we've got the absolute worst wrestling promo I've heard in some time between Trevor Murdoch and with May Valentine. And again, I'm not knocking May Valentine for this. The only reason this got a 1 out of 5 points, or a 1/5 point, I should say, is because of May Valentine. So Trevor Murdoch and May Valentine are backstage, both standing there. Now, had this been where Trevor Murdoch was walking somewhere, going somewhere, and then May Valentine bumped into him to ask him a question on the spot, and he didn't want to talk to her, I could understand that. But we have to look at how it was. They're both standing there, so this was obviously planned. She asks him, like, Trevor, how he's doing, and then she wants to ask him why he's wrestling the Pope, who used to be the Pope D'Angelo Dinero in TNA, or Elijah Burke in the WWE. She's asking him why he's wrestling the Pope next week, and he says, that's between me and the Pope. So then she kind of asks him a little bit about the upcoming pay-per-view show, and then he's like plugging it and says he's focused on it. And then she asks him, like, again, if you're so focused on NWA 74, why are you wrestling the Pope next week? He says, that's between me and the Pope. And that's it. That was this promo. It's just trash. Absolute bollocks and trash. So, like I said, I can understand if this was like, he was going somewhere, and she walked up to him to ask him a question, and he didn't want to talk to her, so he kind of blew her off. Could understand that, but they were both standing there, so this seemed like this was a planned interview. So, what the fuck? Anyway, just terrible. So, yeah, I gave that a 1 out of 5 for May. She was not in this, it would have gotten a 0. Alright, then we've got the ill-begotten, who I've already forgotten their names, versus the Miserably Faithful. The Miserably Faithful. That's a tag team name and whatnot. One moment, please. It's too bad I don't have any alcohol in here. It's about the only way you could get through sitting through this bollocks show. So, basically, this was a jobber 6-man... No, this wasn't even a 6-man tag team match. It should have just been a 6-man tag team match. What they did was they called this a Team War matchup. They wrote Team War with rules on the screen, and apparently it's a one member of a team versus one member of a team, and you can win by pinfall, submission, or throwing the person over the top rope to the floor. And when you get rid of, like, say, this guy on this team is eliminated, then his partner comes in and continues the match until, like, this guy eliminates him, or this guy eliminates him, and continues like that. So, they couldn't just do a 6-man tag team match. And the point of this, I guess, was to get some guy named Julius over at the end of it. He looked like a monster and strong. If they were going to just do that, then why not just put him one-on-one against one of the jobbers on the other team? Alright, we're back. Sorry about technical issues. So, Julius choke slams and border tosses Alex Taylor and beats him, moving on to the next match. So next we have the Heart to Heart, which is just a backstage promo again, like in the same place, with May Valentine, Aaron Stevens, and some other guy. And they're talking to, I don't know who the guy was. They're talking to Colby Corino, the son of Steve Corino, who used to be a pro wrestler at ECW and NWA, apparently. Good stuff. So, I don't know what this was. This was like, basically, the May Valentine, Aaron Stevens, and the other guy were bullying Colby Corino, even though he's a bad guy. So the good guys were bullying a bad guy. Apparently that's a 2022 SJW reversal and whatnot of bullying or something. I don't know. They kept basically asking him if he were to, like, his opinion of Tyrus, and apparently if Tyrus was a fictional animal, what would he be or something. Just stupid questions. For some reason, though, it did make me laugh a little bit. I don't know why it did. Probably, again, because Mae Valentine was in it. So, I can understand her cracking jokes and whatnot. And I guess Aaron Stevens can be a bit funny, but I don't know. This segment was kind of stupid, but I gave it to half a point. It was entertaining, even though it was kind of stupid. Probably, again, because Mae Valentine was in it. Next, we've got Mae Valentine backstage again, interviewing Homicide and this other guy named Caprice Coleman. Homicide is the NWA Junior Champion, so apparently he's not old enough to be the World Champion or Television Champion, but old enough to be the Junior Champion. Apparently Homicide must be 7 years old, so, yeah. Or apparently the Junior Championship is a Cruiserweight Championship. Doesn't this company have enough small guys as it is? I mean, I know there's some big guys in the company, but there's also quite a bit of small guys, so the small guys cannot compete for other championships? Okay, sure. Anyway, Homicide says he's going to beat up somebody named PJ Hawkins, his son, or something, whatever his name was, Scott Hawkins, I don't know. He's going to beat him up. The only thing good in this thing was Caprice Coleman. He said something that rhymed, that had a little bit of, like, riveting ability to it and whatnot. So, had this been a longer promo with him talking, this would have gotten a higher grade. I still give this a half a point because his promo was not bad and Mae Valentine was also not bad. Alright, then we go to the main event of the show, which is Odinson versus Tyrus. Tyrus' nickname is the Manster. Eye rolling. This is for the NWA television title. Odinson is a guy that's in good shape, but his character is that he looks like a Viking or the son of Odin. He's got a gray, like a normal colored beard that's grayish and whatnot, and he has some kind of Scottish, Vikingish, like, trunks on or something. So that's apparently his gimmick. And this match was short. It was less than 5 minutes. And I'm not ripping on these matches for being short. I would actually prefer shorter matches versus 20-minute matches in AEW and WWE nowadays. But not much happened in this match. Tyrus hit a nice T-bone suplex to Odinson. And then he hit the devastating trapezius nerve hold to the arm to the neck for a bit, which Odinson sold a little bit as he decided to do a bunch of awful flying, running, and jumping European uppercuts. You know, instead of just, one good, nice shot or whatnot, he has to do like these running ones that clearly are not as impactful. But I digress. So he does that. He knocks Tyrus down, gets a 2 count, and then he goes to do a crossbody on Tyrus, and Tyrus swats him off. And then Tyrus does Crush's hot punch. Do you remember Crush from 1996, 1997 in the WWF when he was like the biker character and he did the heart punch to the chest? Apparently that is Tyrus's finishing move. And if you don't know who Tyrus is, he used to be Brodus Clay in WWE. I'm sorry, I understand this guy wants to be a monster, but I still cannot take him seriously from the frickin' Brodus Clay character. I'm sorry, I can't. So he wins the matchup, and then apparently at the pay-per-view, it's going to be him versus Trevor Murdoch for the world title. The TV champ versus the world champ. Apparently this was to hype that up. There was really no promo of it, just to make him look strong in the match. And then that was the end of the show. But we got the one thing on the show that I enjoyed. It was they decided to do a bonus match for the show. And it was a match from their recent show, Always Ready from June 11th, 2022. And it was Taya Valkyrie versus Natalia Markova with Taryn Terrell. And Taryn Terrell made this entertaining. This match was not very good. There was lots of botches. But Taryn made this good, and yeah. So let's go into it. So Taya sent, there was a spot in this match where Taya sent Natalia like running to the ropes, and then Taya was going to run off the ropes and do a crossbody. So, but like she ran too fast, so like Natalia, you see her go off the ropes and then just stop to wait a second for Taya to hit her. Looks very, very terrible and whatnot. There's a spot in the match where Natalia did offense by spanking Taya's ass. I kind of liked that. Taya returned that several times later, which I kind of liked that. Let's see, Natalia does a botched suicide dive to Taya. Basically, like, she, like, barely runs and hits her, and instead of Taya, like, going into the guardrail and falling down, or like, falling down from her hitting her, she just doesn't do any of that. So, then we got some showboating from Taryn Terrell on the apron, which was kind of cool, because Taryn looked good. Then Natalia didn't want her to upstage her, so she does the splits, and then a cool spot is Taya like grabs her like on the apron and throws her to the floor, and you see like her head hit the floor. Looked pretty brutal. I liked it. So going back to that, she's beating her up for a while. She does a Meteora in the corner, which I don't know what Lincoln Park has to do with this, but does that. And then Taya hits her finishing move, the Rendezvous Holla, which is the Beth Phoenix Glam Slam, and she's going to pin Natalia, and then Taryn gets on the apron, distracts the ref, and then so Taya gets up to go after her, turns around, and then Natalia hits a basic spinning heel kick, which the commentators are putting over as a devastating finisher called Beautiful Destruction, even though it's just a spinning heel kick that X-Pac and Rob Van Dam have done routinely in their matches, but okay. She hits the kick for the 1-2-3, and that's the match. I give this a 4.5 out of 5 because it was something actually entertaining on the show. But to give the show an overall grade, so we're not going to give this any extra credit for the bonus match. That was just the bonus match, I think, to keep me from killing myself. But so the overall score of NWA Powerrr was 3 out of 8, which is a 37.5%, which is an F. The show was definitely not the bee's knees. The show was definitely the screw the badger. And do yourself a favor, don't watch this show. Instead, watch the Mind of the Married Man Season 1. You'll get more entertainment out of that. And I bid you all adieu, good adieu. I can't talk anymore, as I'm sick of this show left such a sour taste in my mouth. Anyway, thank you all. Have a good night. Cheerio.